guys, do not question. It's quite confusing the first time around, so. Yeah. Tighten our chase using a key. These here are called coin or coins, French word for corner. It's the same technology that we would have actually used to tighten the corner of houses. Again, it's because of that metal alloy, we want to make sure our letters don't shift. So I am going to ink up our press using our brayer. So this here is our brayer, or basically just a fancy word for roller. In Mackenzie's time though, they would not have had a brayer. They would have used something called ink beaters. Basically, if you want to picture upside down maracas with leather pads on them, they would have actually just beat it into your chase. Quite the messy job. You probably would have been able to tell, hey, that man's a printer. He's covered in ink when you were out in town. So we don't do that. We want to kind of not be messy. So. As well, you would have had a printer's apprentice. They probably would have been as young as 10 years old. They would have climbed into the fireplace in the morning, collected soot from last night's find, mixed it with linseed oil, and that was your ink back then. We just used rubber-based ink, so make things simple. So Mackenzie actually would have been doing the laying of the paper, the nice clean work. He would have kept his hands nice and clean. Paper was heavily taxed, plus quite expensive. So you don't want to dirty your paper before it hits the press. I'm putting packing down, again, to kind of cushion that blow of our plat in here, and make sure everything prints nice and fine. Put our tin pin down, and now I need a volunteer.
Go ahead, Austin.
Yes. All right. So that handle right there, the brown handle, I want you to pull it towards the door like this. Yep. There we go, nice and slow. Keep going, keep going. And good. I need another volunteer. Do one of you want to go? Sure. All right, so just from there, pull the handle towards you to hear a click. There you go. So you just applied 200 pounds of pressure per square inch onto our poured piece of paper. And now I need one more volunteer. Who wants to go? Yes. So just that handle again. I want you to push it towards the window now. So you're going to push it towards the window. Yep, there you go. It always takes a little bit of effort to get going. So, and now we're going to see our final product.
This was a lot of work.
There we go, nice and crisp. And so you guys actually just signed a contract to work here at Mackenzie's Printery for the term of 7 years. So I'll see you bright and early tomorrow at 6 a.m. But there were a few rules. Dice, cards, or any other unlawful games they shall not play. So no gambling. As a printer's apprentice, you don't earn a wage. Mackenzie would have provided you food and somewhere to sleep. And so basically any debts you incurred, that was now Mackenzie's debts to pay.
Sign me up.
Matrimony within the said term shall not contract. So no getting married. Again, no wages. Can't support a spouse with kids. Mackenzie doesn't want to do that for you either. Taverns and alehouses, they shall not haunt. So no drinking for 7 years. That may seem a bit harsh, but that's for good reason. This is 36-point font. Mackenzie would have used 6 or 8-point font. That's a letter B. You guys can come closer. So it is a letter B. So you can imagine if you're under the influence, maybe a bit cross-eyed. Things might not be as clear. You might make a few mistakes. So Mackenzie didn't want that. Again, paper was quite expensive. So I'm just going to roll this up for you. It takes 24 hours to dry. If you get it on your clothes, it's game over. That's a permanent stain. But if it's on your hands, they'll wash it after a few tries. So again, just 24 hours to dry. Can unroll it sometime tomorrow. There we go. And now since we don't have anyone behind us, hundreds, this here is our pilot press, or strong arm press, for a reason you will see in just a little bit. It's from the year 1920. So the biggest innovation of the pilot press was that it was self-inking technology. So no longer did you actually have to apply the ink onto the chase using a brayer. The machine would do it for you. So we got rid of that ink beater's job. So now you can do prints with just one person. So I'd set my paper here onto the platen. Our chase though is still set letter by letter. So again, that time-consuming process that we just experienced, it's still going on. And then I will pull down this handle. So we have rollers right here. These rollers are inking themselves off our ink plate, and then they re-ink the chase, and we have a nice little bookmark here. So if you guys want to choose a piece of paper and print yourself a bookmark, you can do that. Any color. All right, and you'll just slide it in here against those pins, just against the pins. And now,
You gotta go.
pull the handle down. You gotta pull the handle down towards you. Just on the way up, it'll transform back. And there's your final product.
Good.
I will
Grab
put
it.
in an envelope for you. Again, because it's 24 hours to dry.
Thank you.
This is fun.
24 hours to dry.
I'm not touching it. I'm looking.
Just
Did your name on there?
pins there.
Oh, Stephen King. Books are your naked portable magic. True.
Just handle down.
This is cool. You get a frame to get
Wilson's first job.
Come back out a little bit there. But we'll go again 24 hours to dry. There we go. Anyone else? Yes?
Do you want to do it?
You know what?
Do you want to do it? Go ahead. You can.
So just here, slide it onto those pins there. And then pull down the handle, so just towards you. Good. And there we go.
Do you want to do it?
Power switch, and it would be opening and closing. But you still have to set that chase letter by letter, and you still have to ink your ink plate. You would put the paper in here, and then flip the power switch, and it would be opening and closing, but you still have to throw the paper in there once you take the other one out. So you're putting your hands into moving machinery, probably not the safest idea, so quite a few printers did have their fingers smushed while on the job. But luckily technology does evolve, and we have our press right here. This here is the Heidelberg. It's considered the Rolls Royce of printing presses. It was used until the early 1960s. So you would still set your chase though, letter by letter, ink your ink plate, and then put your paper right here. Once you flip that switch though, and then pull up your, I guess you can call this a gas pedal per se, I can't think of the word right now. The paper would be lifted up with air suction, passed to this arm here, and thrown onto your platen. And then it would just do the rest automatically for you, kind of getting rid of the need to put your hands into moving machinery. One more safety feature is this kind of label or title. You flip it up and the whole machine stops running. It's kind of a kill switch. Anything went awry, you had an automatic shut off. We are though in the 1960s, and this machine is still, you have to set your type letter by letter. So if we turn to our last machine just behind you, we have our linotype. This linotype, the linotype was invented in 1884 by a man named Otto Morgenthaler. The goal of the linotype was to set type for the first time automatically. And so we have a matrix. Each matrix has a letter on it. This here is a M.
Yes, it is.
It's an M.
Isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes. And so each matrix will be held in a magazine. You click the M on your keyboard, the matrix falls out of that magazine, down this belt, and lines up here, forming a sentence. Once your sentence was finished, you would click this lever here, and this that line of type, hence the name linotype, would be brought over here. And if you remember, I was talking about a metal alloy. We have that metal alloy continuously melting here in this brick form. It is then injected into your line of type or into the matrices to form a slug or a line of type. And so now each line of type would actually be your sentence. And now you bring your slug over to your compositor who's working at your chase. And now instead of setting letter by letter, we're setting sentence by sentence. So you would just line them up like that. However, we still have to print this somehow. So that's where this comes in. So this would kind of start it off as a kind of paper mache-like mixture. You would pour it onto your chase. It would cure and form a flong. The flong is a bendable version of your chase, which allows us to bend it into this semicircle here. And this semicircle would be injected with type metal to form a stereotype. This stereotype could then be put on rollers like here, and that's what enabled daily newspapers for the first time, or twice daily newspapers, large batches of newspapers, kind of industrial size amounts. So the linotype was used until the early 1980s, at which point more digital or laser printing technologies took over. They're not really museum pieces yet, so we don't have any, but that is your tour. There is some cool history in these photos here. So this photo here is from 1920. The second person from right is a woman. She's working the linotype, but in comparison to her photo from the year 1900, where women are working a different job, it's quite the, you can see the social progression of